The Nevada desert wasn't supposed to feel this alive at night, but as the last streaks of sun bled away, Nora felt the sand watching her back. Her old pickup hummed along the cracked desert road, headlights cutting ribbons through the darkness. The sky above was ink black, scattered with stars that looked close enough to touch. Inside the cab, the only sound was the low rattle of the engine and the soft, throaty purr of Dusty, curled on the passenger seat, his golden eyes reflecting the dashboard glow. "Long day, huh, boy?" she murmured, fingers brushing the sandy fur between his ears. Dusty was not an ordinary cat. Born in a barn on the edge of this very desert, he walked the dunes the way other cats walked living room carpets, silent, sure, and utterly fearless. His fur was the color of sunburnt sand, blending into the dunes, and his whiskers twitched at every shift in the wind. Outside, the desert stretched endlessly, a sea of shadows and dry brush, the kind of place that could swallow secrets without leaving a trace. What's the first color you imagine when you think of a desert? Is it gold, or is it black like this night sky? Nora sucked in a breath as Dusty suddenly lifted his head, ears pricking forward. His purr stopped mid-vibration. He stood up, paws planted on the dashboard, nose pressed to the glass. "Dusty, what is it now?" she asked, a small laugh escaping her. But Dusty wasn't playing. His tail stiffened, his body leaning toward the right side of the road. Nora followed his gaze. There, just barely visible in the sweep of her headlights, stood a small, slanted shape on the horizon. A shack. Weathered wood, a crooked tin roof, half-buried fence posts leaning like drunk sentries. "Dusty, why are you staring at that shack?" She eased her foot off the gas. The truck slowed, gravel crunching softly beneath the tires. The desert wind whispered against the windows as if trying to talk her out of stopping. But then, something felt wrong. Dusty let out a low, insistent meow, the sound sharp in the silence. He turned to her, then back to the shack, tapping one paw impatiently on the dashboard. All right, I get it," she whispered. "You want to check it out?" She pulled the truck onto the side of the road and killed the engine. The sudden quiet roared in her ears. Crickets chirped in distant pockets of brush. Somewhere a coyote called. Nora opened her door. Warm, dry air rushed in, carrying the smell of dust and sage. Dusty sprang down ahead of her, landing lightly on the sand, his body low and alert. The desert night wrapped around them like a cloak. "What sound do you imagine inside an abandoned shack?" she wondered silently, feeling a strange curiosity tugging at her. They walked toward the shack, her boots crunching softly on the grit, Dusty gliding like a shadow just ahead. The structure grew larger with each step, its worn planks etched with time and sand. A broken lantern hung near the door, swinging lightly in the breeze, though there was hardly any wind. Just when Nora thought the shack was empty, she saw them. Footprints. They led from the road to the door. Fresh prints in the sand, edges clean, not yet softened by the wind. A heavy boot tread. Another, lighter. And then smaller impressions, claw-like, almost like a dog's. Her heart thudded. Is someone living here? Dusty sniffed the footprints, whiskers flaring. His tail flicked once sharply. Then he padded to the door, glancing back at her as if to say, "Come on, we're not turning back now." Nora swallowed. "You're the brave one, you know that." She nudged the door with her hand. It creaked open with a long, tired groan that seemed too loud for the empty desert. Inside, darkness waited, thick and stale. She stepped in. Dusty slipped past her ankles. The shack was a single small room, lit only by the thin spill of moonlight through cracks in the walls. Dust coated everything. An old metal bed frame leaned in the corner, springs rusted and twisted. A table with one leg missing sagged against the wall. Shelves held glass bottles clouded with age. "What happened to you?" she whispered to the room. Moments later, Dusty reacted. He froze in the center of the room, ears forward, body tense. His nose lifted, tasting the air. Then he moved, quick and purposeful, toward the back wall where a faded map of Nevada hung crookedly. "Dusty, what did you find under there?" Dusty pawed at the floorboards beneath the map. Tap, tap, tap. He stopped at one particular plank and scratched harder, claws rasping on the wood. Nora's pulse kicked up. "You can't be serious." She knelt beside him, fingers brushing over the plank he'd chosen. It felt slightly raised, loose. She slid her nails along the edge and pried. The wood lifted with a reluctant crack, sending up a puff of dust that made her cough. Under the board, hidden in a shallow compartment, lay a small tin box, dark with age, its corners dented. "What did you actually drag me into, Dusty?" she murmured. But no part of her was laughing anymore. Her hands shook as she lifted the box from its hiding place. It was heavier than it looked. But then, something felt wrong. A faint breeze pushed through the cracks in the wall, brushing goosebumps up her arms. The door behind them creaked slightly, as if nudged by an unseen hand. Dusty's fur bristled along his spine. He hissed, staring at the door. Nora swallowed. "It's just the wind," she said, more to herself than to Dusty. She opened the tin box. The hinges squealed in protest. Inside, under a brittle piece of cloth, lay a stack of yellowed papers bound with twine, a faded photograph, and a small metal badge. Nora's breath caught. The photograph showed a man standing by this very shack, decades younger, his arms slung around a woman in a floral dress. Behind them, the same crooked fence posts and sagging roof. She knew that face, the sharp jaw, the tired eyes. "Grandpa?" she whispered. Her hands trembled harder. Her grandfather had been a ranger, missing in this desert since before she was born. Her mother never spoke of him, only that he'd gone out on patrol one night and never come back. And in that moment, the truth revealed itself. She picked up the badge. It was tarnished but unmistakable, a Nevada Desert Ranger emblem. Beneath it, the papers, field notes, maps, and at the very bottom, a letter. Her eyes scanned the writing. "If someone finds this, it means I never made it back. The water project north of Ridge Hollow is poisoned. Someone is burying barrels out there. I tried to report it. They told me to keep quiet. I won't. This shack is the only place I could hide the proof before they caught up with me. If you're reading this, you need to finish what I started. Ranger Elias Hale."
Elias Hale, her grandfather. What happened next made her heart stop. A shadow crossed the doorway. A boot scraped on the ground outside. Nora's head snapped up. Dusty hissed again, louder this time. backing toward her with his fur standing on end. "Someone's here," she breathed. Footsteps approached, slow, deliberate, sand grinding under heavy boots. "We need to get out of here, now." She grabbed the papers and the badge, shoving them into her backpack. Dusty darted toward the back of the shack, tail flicking urgently. Instead of heading for the door, he squeezed under the sagging bed frame and glanced back, eyes glowing in the darkness as if telling her, "This way." "Seriously?" Nora whispered. "Under the bed? That's your big plan?" But as the doorknob began to turn, she didn't argue. She dropped to the floor and crawled after him, the rough wood scraping her knees. Behind the bed, she saw what he had smelled, a gap in the wall, boards warped and broken, just big enough for a person to squeeze through. Dusty slipped out first into the cool night air. Nora sucked in her stomach and followed, splinters catching on her jacket. As she wriggled free, she heard the front door slam open behind her. A voice barked from inside, rough and angry. "Who's in here?" Nora and Dusty pressed flat against the outside wall, hearts pounding in rhythm. She could hear heavy boots stomping across the floor, the creak of the bed, the scrape of the table. She wondered, fear humming through her veins. Dusty touched her ankle with his paw, grounding her. After what felt like an eternity, the boots moved closer to the door again. She heard the stranger mutter, voice low and tense. "They couldn't have gone far," he growled. "If anyone finds that box..." A slam. Then more footsteps, this time moving away, fading into the night. Nora didn't move. Dust filled her lungs with each shaky breath. Moments later, Dusty reacted. He nudged her and trotted toward the back of the shack, around the corner where the moonlight pooled silver over the sand. He looked over his shoulder, urging her to follow. Okay, I'm coming," she whispered. They crept around the shack and away from it, keeping low behind patches of brush until the structure was just a dark shape behind them. Nora's truck gleamed faintly in the distance, her only anchor to safety. When you imagine this desert night, what's the first sound you hear? Wind? Your own heartbeat? Or the crunch of footsteps behind you? Nora reached her truck, hands still shaking, and climbed in. Dusty jumped after her, landing on the seat with a soft thump. She slammed the doors and locked them, staring out at the shack. "Dusty," she swallowed, looking at him with wide, damp eyes. "You saved me again, Dusty." He blinked slowly at her, then butted his head against her arm. She flipped on the interior light and pulled the papers from her backpack, flattening them across the steering wheel. The letter, the field notes, rough sketches of a map north of Ridge Hollow, circles drawn around marked locations, barrels buried here, check water table, evidence. "Dusty, do you realize what this is?" she whispered. "Grandpa tried to warn everyone, and someone tried to silence him." Her throat tightened as tears pricked her eyes. The desert outside was silent, indifferent, as if it had watched this tragedy once already and was now watching the sequel unfold. "I can't let this stay buried," she murmured. "Not again." Dusty's tail curled around her arm. She grabbed her phone with trembling fingers and snapped photos of every page. Then she dialed the only person she knew who might listen without laughing, Ranger Cooper, one of the last honest ones, the man who'd helped her when she got lost on a hike years ago. "Cooper here," his tired voice came through. "Ranger Cooper, it's Nora Hale. I found something in an old shack off Route 12. It's about a buried water project, poisoned barrels, and it's signed by Elias Hale." Elias Hale was your grandfather, wasn't he? "Yes. Stay where you are. I'm coming." But then, something felt wrong. Nora glanced up at the shack one last time. The darkness around it seemed thicker now, like the desert itself was holding its breath. She thought she saw a figure move near the door, but when she blinked, it was gone. "Dusty, was someone living here?" she whispered. He stared out the window, eyes narrowed as if memorizing every shadow. Within the hour, the distant glow of headlights appeared on the road. Ranger Cooper's truck rolled to a stop behind hers. A solid, broad-shouldered man stepped out, hat low, flashlight in hand. They moved together back toward the shack, Dusty padding between them like a tiny, silent guardian. Nora relayed everything, how Dusty had sensed the place, the hidden floorboard, the box, the stranger's voice. Inside the shack, Cooper swept his flashlight slowly over the room. Whoever came here just now, they were looking for the same thing you found. Only you got here first. Nora held the badge like a fragile piece of her past. What happened next made her heart stop. The light caught on fresh boot prints near the wall where she and Dusty had escaped. They weren't hers. They weren't Cooper's. "They know," Cooper muttered. "They know this secret isn't buried anymore." He turned to her. "Nora, this isn't just some old family story. This could expose something big. We need to go through these notes at the station, file an official report, and follow this map." Nora glanced at Dusty. His ears flicked as if in agreement. Outside, the desert wind finally picked up, sweeping over the shack, rattling the broken lantern until it clinked softly against the wood. Dusty led the way out one more time, stepping confidently into the moonlit sand. Nora followed, Cooper behind her. The three of them left the shack standing in the dark, a hollow witness to a secret that was no longer safe in its walls. Back at her truck, Nora paused, looking out over the rippling dunes, the stars shimmering above like 1,000 quiet eyes. "This place knew my grandfather's secret for all these years, and you found it for me, Dusty." Dusty jumped onto the hood, tail curling high as he stared at the distance, as if daring the desert to try and hide anything else from him. The loneliness of the desert didn't feel so empty anymore. It felt like a story still being written, a mystery still unfolding, with a fearless desert cat walking at the edge of every clue. Nora smiled, wiping her eyes, her heart full of fear, hope, and a fierce determination. If this mystery touched you, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more heroic cat tales.